Hi, this is Rick Shanklin, Morning Coordination Meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Paducah, and I'd like to talk about some key information you can attain from the tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches, and briefly about the importance of your spotter reports and getting those reports to us at the National Weather Service. What I'd first like to talk about are the tornado watches, and you may not realize this, but there's actually effectively two levels of tornado watches: a regular tornado watch and a PDS, or particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. And I've taken a sample of 50 tornado watches from 2005 to 2014, and of these 50 tornado watches, 46 have been regular tornado watches and only 4 have been PDS watches. So let's take a look into some of the watches and the information you can attain from the watches. Here we're looking at the Storm Prediction Center website, which you can get to from our website, weather.gov/PAH, then click on Outlooks, or you can go straight to the SPC website at spc.noaa.gov. And once you do that and you look at the watches on their website, you can see them graphically. Here we have the watch along with the radar data, a watch that was issued in our region. And if you look at the bottom of the watch, you can see the different categories or different elements of severe weather: tornadoes and tornadoes of an EF2 or greater intensity, severe winds 58 mile an hour or stronger, also subdivided into 65 knot plus winds, or about 75 miles an hour or stronger, severe hail, that's 1-inch hail, and 2-inch hail. And with this particular example, we can see moderate risk of tornadoes, moderate risk also of EF2 or greater tornadoes, which is fairly high. Again, this is a regular tornado watch. Severe winds, the risk of that is high. Winds 58 miles an hour up to 75 miles an hour basically. Moderate for 75 mile an hour plus winds, and also for severe hail, 1 inch to just less than 2 inches, and low likelihood of hail 2 inches or greater. Now if you scroll on down below that, you can find some additional information. For example, probability of 2 or more tornadoes within the watch area, it's moderate for this particular tornado watch. 1 or more strong F2 or above tornadoes is moderate, 30%. Wind probability, 10 or more severe wind events within the watch area is high, moderate for 1 or more wind events of 75 miles an hour or greater. Probability of 10 or more severe hail events is moderate, 1 or more hailstones greater than 2 inches is low. And probability of 6 or more combined severe hail and wind events is greater than 95%. So again, some additional information you can glean from the watches. If you get used to looking at this, this can kind of give you some additional insight of what might be expected with a given watch scenario, even within the regular tornado watches and the PDS tornado watches. And again, those are the two key areas to look at on the watches at the Storm Prediction Center website. Now, here we have a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch that was issued for our region. And in this case, we can see, well, let me back up here. We can see the likelihood of tornadoes is high. EF2 and above tornadoes is high. Severe wind is high. In fact, the only two things that's less than high is the 75 mile an hour or stronger winds, which is moderate, and the 2-inch or larger hail is also moderate. So, and that's what you'll see with the PDS tornado watches. You will definitely see the higher numbers there than you will with the regular tornado watches, and that's why it's a PDS watch. There is greater concern, especially of the higher end events like the EF2 and above tornadoes. And here's an actual text product of the watch, which you can get from the same location. At the top, it gives you several different things you can look at with the watches. And so in this text, and of course we have this highlighted in red, it won't be on the websites, but it clearly says in all PDS watches that this is a particularly dangerous situation, hence PDS. But you can also see that, as we've seen, at the top, very top of the watches page on the Storm Prediction Center website. And looking at this watch in a little more detail, again, the different likelihood categories, but at the bottom, just below that, you can see the different categories, and without going over these individually, you can see certainly that these percentages are all greater, or virtually all greater, than what they were with the previous regular tornado watch that we looked at. Okay, so let's look now at the severe thunderstorm watches, and they too are divided into those two categories: regular severe thunderstorm watch and PDS severe thunderstorm watch. And a sampling of 50 watches from 2005 to early in 2014 found that 48 of the watches were regular and only 2 were PDS watches. So even with this sampling, not sure if that would hold up over a longer period or not, and but that's what it came out to be. So out of 100 watches total, tornado and severe thunderstorm, only 6 of those were PDS watches, so that would be 94% are regular watches, and only 6% make it to the PDS level. So that's should really kind of emphasize the importance of these PDS watches. High-end severe weather days are when, of course, they are most likely. Here we have a PDS severe thunderstorm watch. This, by the way, is for the May 8th, 2009 super derecho, which did tremendous damage across Missouri, southern Missouri, and especially across southwest Illinois, well, even into southeast Illinois, east of Interstate 57, certainly to some degree. And here we have the different categories, and the likelihood, obviously, with tornadoes is going to be lower because it's a severe thunderstorm watch. If tornadoes were expected, a tornado watch would be issued. But the severe wind, even the 65 knot or 75 mile an hour plus winds, and the severe hail are all high in this case. And again, it'll clearly say in the watch, regardless of the watch type, if it's a PDS, you'll see it there, as well as we saw on the previous page at the top of the SPC watch page. And in addition, of course, you want to read the text, and in this case it says extremely damaging thunderstorm wind gust to 80 miles an hour. Unfortunately, this PDS watch is ramped up as it was not adequate, or did not have the upper limits to what actually wound up occurring. Now, some of the winds on average with this system were certainly in that range of 80 miles an hour, but we had gusts actually recorded as high as 106 miles an hour over southwest Illinois. And here's part of the discussion. You can glean some really good information out of the discussion part of the watches, which are at the bottom of the watches. And as you can see here, large cluster of intense convection over southeast Kansas will likely continue or organize into a bow echo this morning and race east-southeast across southwest Missouri, northeast Arkansas, northwest or Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas. High instability and rather strong westerly flow aloft suggests that a corridor of significant damaging wind is possible through the mid-morning. Large hail will also remain possible in the strongest storms. And the aviation part is good, especially for storm spotters, and for anybody it's good to know what the expected storm motion is going to be. In this case, from 290 degrees at 35 knots. It's, moving east, southeast at about 40 miles an hour. Another item that can be very helpful is the mesoscale discussion, which is, again, issued by the Storm Prediction Center. And if you click on Outlooks on our website, the top left of the page there, this page will come up. This has a lot of good information on it. You can see the day 1, day 2, day 3 outlook, activity chart, the mesoanalysis chart. It's a topic in itself for discussion, but the mesoscale discussion is on the top left there as well. So if you click on that, you can get the mesoscale discussions. Here's an example of one, and you can see the hatched area or outlined area there. Severe threat increasing across southern portions of the weather watch. A new watch may be needed downstream, which basically is to the east of the current watch. So again, be sure and check those out. Some really good information that you can glean from the mesoscale discussions. Ramping up to a severe event, those are issued as well as during a severe event. And here's another one. Across our region, severe threat, damaging winds, and tornadoes is expected to spread into the mid-lower Mississippi Valley and lower high Tennessee valleys overnight. New weather watches will be needed. And here's the entire discussion. So there's the graphic with the brief discussion, and then the expanded discussion also. When you click on the graphic that we saw a couple slides ago, it will provide all this information for you. And here's yet another one. Monitoring for intensification of storms. Tornado watch may be required next 2 hours. Well, and what's the likelihood of it being required or being issued? And we have that information now in the watches, or in the discussions, I should say, and in this case 60%. And I've seen it anywhere from at least as low as 20-30% to at least 90%, and it's possible there have been some at 100%. So it's a good thing to watch there for your planning. Okay, switching now to the warnings. Wanted to talk about those a little bit too. The impact-based warnings, which we started last spring, April of 2013, and the purpose of those are to better communicate threats to our partners and constituents. And here's the area that is doing the impact-based warnings. This likely will be spreaded nationally for the entire country. We'll be issuing these in the future, but this is the test bed. This is our second spring of testing these, obviously. So we've had pretty good experience with them. At the bottom of the warning is where you can quickly glean the key information. And in this tag at the bottom of every warning, tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning, you will see some information, but what you will rarely see is the tornado damage threat tag, which in this case, in this example, is catastrophic. And the bottom line is, if you see a tornado damage threat tag, period, because it's only going to be there if there's a considerable risk of a tornado or catastrophic conditions expected with a tornado. Either could be really bad. The considerable does not have quite the stringent requirements as the catastrophic. For example, the catastrophic has to have a spotter confirming a violent tornado, and it can only be confirmed if there is major damage going on, essentially. So that is not going to be used just strictly based on radar. We have to have reliable sources confirming a violent tornado, again, for the catastrophic. And as you can see in the table there, the considerable, the step down, but still a very serious situation potentially, is only issued when there's credible evidence that a tornado capable of producing considerable damage, hence the considerable tag, is imminent or ongoing. So capable of producing considerable damage versus confirmed violent tornado, confirmed major damage going on. So again, bottom line, if you ever see this damage threat tag, that is bad news, especially the catastrophic, but possibly even with the considerable. I think our office has only done about 6 of those out of many dozens of tornado warnings since April of 2013. One of those was with the November 17th, or a couple of those at least were with the November 17th tornadoes, which was, as you can remember, November 17th, 2013 was a particularly bad day. We had 3 fatalities, several injuries, and several strong and violent tornadoes across our region. Also, I point out that about midway through the warning there, it will clearly say this is a particularly dangerous situation. So you could call these PDS warnings. You have the PDS watches if that helps you remember them better. That's a way you can quickly look at the warnings as well. I just thought it might be easier to look down at the bottom. Plus, you've got the two categories clearly that you can clearly identify at the bottom of the warnings. Okay. Spotter report liability. I don't know how to say this other than just come out and say it, and that is if you are spotting it, if you're a storm spotter and you're spotting as part of an organization, whether it's an emergency management agency, a TV station, some TV stations have a network of spotters, a spotter group, private spotter group, amateur radio group, whatever the case might be. If you're doing that and that entity reports or collects the reports, it's the responsibility of that organization to ensure the reports get to us at the National Weather Service promptly, and by that we mean seconds versus minutes. And really, that's part of your responsibility, is to ensure that they are doing that. So if they're not, that's something you may want to bring up or bring to our attention here, and we'll work with them as best we can to get that done. So bottom line is your first thought should be to get the report to the National Weather Service. If you can't, ensure immediate relay through one of the methods used by spotters, the spotter hotline, the online reporting, through Twitter using the PAH spotter hashtag, or getting it relayed through NWS chat. Many of the emergency management agencies use NWS chat and relay the reports to us in that method. But unless you can ensure that, you need to contact us directly. View a critical spotter report as you would a report of an evolving crime. For example, a gunman headed toward a bank. If the report is not relayed to law enforcement, someone could be hurt or killed. Certainly the same is true, especially for these high-end events where we've got tornadoes occurring, and it's like a funnel cloud report, wall cloud report, those in particular, damage that's occurred, all of that is critical to be reported to us at the National Weather Service in seconds, not minutes. And the bottom line with it is we are the only entity responsible for actually issuing the warnings. We kind of collectively warn everybody, but we have the responsibility for issuing the warnings, and we're the only entity that's capable of reaching 100% of those in harm's way. And this graphic basically explains that. There are many ways that people get warnings. In fact, a lot of people use multiple means to get the warnings. Maybe a weather radio, maybe they're watching TV, the weather radio alerts them, then they turn their TV on or listen to the radio, commercial radio. Cell phone alerts is popular. Social media means of getting warnings through that is increasingly popular. Code red and other call-out methods are as well. And we want to ensure that the warning gets to, and not just the warnings, the follow-up information, like we've issued the warning, maybe there's then a spotter reports an actual tornado event. We want to ensure that that gets to everybody because that prompts action, and the only way it can do that is if it comes to us first or quickly, and then we can get it to all the TV stations, all the emergency managers, so they can sound the sirens, get it on weather radio, so everybody that's listening to that method, and all the other means. You may have people driving through the county on the interstate, truckers and different ones that use other methods, and those will only be received by them if the information gets to us at the National Weather Service. And we want to give everybody the opportunity to protect themselves if there's severe weather in the region. So bottom line with this, reports made to an entity and not promptly relayed to the National Weather Service by that entity or person risk lives. Okay, well, thank you for tuning in, and be sure and check out all of our other videos, presentations for our severe weather workshop, as well as all the others we've done. Thank you.